Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is Mr. Weedman and Big Earl with the Grow Hour. Big Earl, my brother, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good. Man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a minute, but I'm super stoked because we're gonna get ripped here on a Friday night and talk about Synthganics, which
Yeah.
is explain what Synthganics is before we start smoking.
Synthganic. It's just a mixture of it's using like synthetics and organics together. We've talked about it a lot, but we've never like completely broken down, at least how I do it in my basement, and how you can like break some of this down and use it together efficiently for flavors and whatever else you're looking for.
Hell yeah! So what are you smoking on, my brother, on a Friday night?
Biscotti. Had a last little bit of this Biscotti. It came out really nice with a little plant, but came out really nice. And joined these last few joints of her. How about you?
I am smoking on the outdoor grow that Mr. and Mrs. Weedman did this summer. It's called Vegas Candy. I got the cut. You've seen the plant. I got the cut
Yeah.
from a buddy of mine, Midwest Terps, and we harvested it 4 weeks ago and put it in the Grove bags. But I let it sit in the Grove bags a little bit longer than before I started smoking it because my drying was not correct because I didn't have my tent, so I had to dry it in the back of my basement, which wasn't humidified correctly. So, but I wound up leaving it in the Grove bags for like almost 4 weeks, and it wind up just fucking being fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was telling you before the show, it's like Mrs. Weedman and I have been smoking this thing for like like 5 or 6 days now, and it's the first weed I've had in a hot minute that was just true gut buster giggly weed. It's been a minute. Like I've had strains that have made us laugh, but I'm talking about breakdown fucking like stupid giggles, man. Like the stupidest thing that gives you that gut wrenching giggles. So it's been fun. The strain's been good. Phenomenal taste. Very heavy lemon flavor, but also some grassy to it too, and some creaminess. It's really, really nice. It smokes really well. I'm super, super happy how this my first true outdoor grow and not like I've done a couple in pots outside, but this is like I grew this in my backyard soil. Like I planted it in the ground, baby. And I will tell you this, thank you for teaching me about cedar chips.
Yeah.
Because we put cedar chips throughout the whole entire garden and we had no bugs.
They don't like it.
Had no bugs.
Don't like it.
It was fucking great. Yeah. No bugs. Now we did spray organic stuff for caterpillars and stuff like that. And the only time I used something was Damascus earth during the stages of veg. So and we used a lot around the plant, around the garden period, and then on the plant here and there, sprayed it, like you taught me. But I will say this, because of that cedar plank, I really think we didn't get any bugs.
It does. Like, it's kind of crazy how much they hate it. I build all my garden beds out of it. My garden beds will rot out. Like I've had mine outside now, like for 7 years. They're thin, and they're just now starting to rot out. It's definitely from like the moisture and stuff. It's not. There's no bugs in them or anything. The bees will get into the soil and F you up, but oh my goodness. But the bugs will stay away from your cedar. Like they don't like it. It might even be like mold and mildew resistant also. I might just be talking to my ass with that too, but like it doesn't break down as much as some of the other mulches.
Well, I mean, you move the mulch around and shit like that. And I have not seen, sometimes they get clumped together because they get moldy and they get nothing like that. So I don't know if it's 100% accurate on that, but I didn't see any mold or mildew in any of that stuff. Let me ask you a question. The only thing I found on my plants was like house spiders, like 2. They were on like the fan leaf and built like a little nest. And of course I pulled the spider out and put it on the ground somewhere. But that hurt the plant? The spiders hurt? Not spider. We're not talking about spider mites here. I know that. I'm just talking about a regular typical spider that eats bugs. Does that hurt your plants at all? Is that okay if they're on there?
I mean, it's all probably very subjective to like the situation and who you are and what you want to do with it. I would say I like spiders a lot. That's
me too.
One of the top 5 arguments my wife and I have in life.
Me too.
It's killing the spider. They're just our little buddies. and I gotta go kill my little buddy. Um, but but then you're talking about their web. All bugs poop. Like they're there to eat bugs, you know. And
Mm,
so, like, if you're getting a lot of spiders on a plant, I would be worried that that plant has some kind of bug, especially if they're
gotcha.
smaller spiders. If they're real big spiders, they're not like going after like little spider mites. Typically, I wouldn't think
Right.
at least. So I would say like one or two, as long as you're cool with the location that they're in, and you're not,
I
you
just pulled
know,
the leaf off and just put, like I said, put it on the ground and let them live. But I only found 2 on the plant. But I was just the question I wanted to know: is it bad to have spiders on you? They weren't on the buds; they were just on the fan leaves.
yeah.
So, but like I said, I just wanted to know: does it hurt or does it help?
It won't.
Or
No, yeah, they don't eat. There's so the two types of bugs for me at least that I always categorize. I know there's all kinds of categories. I always think, is this a bug that eats a plant or is this a bug that eats bugs? Bugs that eat bugs are dope. Bugs that eat plants suck.
yep,
And so it's like it's a bug that eats bugs, and it's like, but any bug shits, they have their silk and their what I mean, whatever the fuck,
yeah,
their web. And I particularly wouldn't really want that on my flowers. So I think like what you did is perfectly acceptable. Like
that's right.
it's still there. It can still eat bugs, just not all over your plant.
There it is, right there. Sweet, cool. All right, didn't kill a spider and saved it, and it didn't shit on my plant. I like it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Win-win.
yeah. So what Big Earl and I are going to talk about today is building an organic soil for your indoor use. And we've touched base on this and have talked about this on some prior shows, but Big Earl found an old recipe of his and he's going to
Oh,
teach you about this. Yeah, there it is. He found his old recipe book and look at that. How many years ago was that written on? With glue on it now and
oh,
fucking
dude, I've done construction with this piece of cardboard. I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 by now. But I like had it written. I had it written down in a notebook, and I was looking through some stuff, and I was like, "Holy!" Like I found it like tucked behind. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's my original." What I used to like exactly what we're talking about today. Originally, like what I would go off of.
So you got the OG Ocean Grown right here, right in front of you,
Yeah,
folks.
yeah,
So we've gone over some Synthganic before info, and we put some stuff together. But now let's go over some very basic organic additives: how to mix
yeah.
your soil and allow for breakdown, and how to use it all with the
The salt.
salts.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us about it, Big Earl. Tell us about it.
Yeah, like you said, we've gone over it a little bit before, but we found the recipe. Again, we'll go over exactly how the organic mix can be put together, or at least what I like. And then how to use it past then, like how do they go into your soil? How can you get it broken down? Because a lot of these are not even like they would be considered like more long-term nutrients. And we're talking about a plant that moves very fast. And so it kind of needs a jump start. And so we can kind of talk about some of that too. So first we'll talk about this organic mix. It's got quite a few things, but it's all in there for its own reason. I have it written out in milliliters. This is a weight, it's not supposed to be in milliliters, but I have measuring cups all over my garden. And so that's what I measure it in. I take the scoops, if the 2000 milliliter large or a 500 milliliter little medium cup. I use my different cups to measure these substances. And so it is in, it's not in like a solid weight. And so I apologize if you
What
don't
would
have
be?
the.
Can you tell us the would you know? I don't mean to throw you on the spot. Do you know the switch over though? What we would have to use, like
It
somebody who
would
doesn't
be
use.
different with everything. Like I would have to
Okay,
so I've only this 5 gallon mixture lasts so long. I've only actually made the 5 gallon mixture a few times.
okay.
And I should have actually gone through and weighed it all. But like this first one, it's seed meal, it's 7,000 milliliters. And so I don't actually have like I could do the 2000 and do the conversion pretty easily. But it's just like I don't have an excuse. I
You,
don't I
listen, it
have
works for you. It works for you,
yeah,
and this is what you do. So people are wondering, this is what Big Earl does in his
it's
garden.
it's measuring
You
cups.
can,
Yeah.
you can learn how to switch the metrics or whatever
Yeah.
to whatever you need. So, but this you're getting a good recipe here, regardless. So, go ahead, Earl. Sorry.
So I use no, that's all right. I use 7,000 in a 5 gallon bucket. I like to add first seed meal. And we'll go through all this in a second. I'm just going to go through the actual recipe of the mix. 7,000 milliliters. So that's like, a half gallon. It's about 4,000 milliliters in a gallon. I use a half gallon cup, so I give them a few scoops of that. That's a big chunk of everything. Kelp, 2,000 milliliters. Bone meal, 2,000 milliliters. Throw some gypsum in that bad boy, 500 milliliters.
I'm a true believer in gypsum. I've used it on every single one of my grows.
Yeah, it works great. It works.
Yep.
It's a great, especially when you're working with organics too.
And if you have tomatoes, if you have real tomatoes in your garden, you use gypsum, you're gonna get fucking So use gypsum for when you're growing your garden too, like your vegetable garden. Trust me.
I like gypsum a lot. We should find somebody who like a gypsum specialist and go through it, because I've heard so many people use it for so many different things.
Yeah.
A faux guano, so like a phosphorus heavy guano, 2,000 milliliters of that.
Do they go and get pho at the bats go get pho at the fucking restaurant first, and that's why it's called faux guano? Do they eat pho first?
That's very possible. If it's one of them is based on insects, so it's maybe the insect one, it's possible. And then two different limes, which is people have told me is I've had a debate with two different limes. I don't know enough about it to know like, hey, this or that. But I know that when I found this recipe, it was from a guy who is like a master organic gardener. And I was going through it and I compared it to a lot of like the organic salt recipes, just to kind of see like NPK ratios more than anything, not like the numbers so much, but like percents. And this guy like had some pretty insane quality everything, and he recommended multiple limes. And we'll get into a little bit more, but one of the limes I know has like a magnesium added while the other one doesn't. But they both control pH and the acidity of your soil. They help balance things out. And they have a couple like little nutrients in them as well. But dolomite lime and agricultural lime, dolomite lime, 1,000 milliliters, and agricultural lime, 500 milliliters, all in a 5-gallon bucket.
The only dolomite I know is the 1970s show back in the day. That's the only dolomite I know.
One of them, I think the ag lime is like what you see on football fields. Those white lines they do. I think that's what. And maybe I'm just talking on my
back in the day when I played high school ball, they used that. Now and then they went to spray painting, and now it's AstroTurf and it's all painted on now. Now I don't even think they use that. But back in baseball days, it was that.
Yeah, maybe on the diamond.
Those old carts that they would have have that whole powder in there, make you fucking choke if you breathe it in. Yeah, that's. I think you're 100% correct on that one.
That's one of the best. So one of the best parts about this, I don't think we even put in any of this, is how cheap organics can be when you break them down that little. Like they use those limes because they were cheap as fuck and they weren't like terrible for the environment. And so like all of this stuff you can find in like 50-pound bags, which is way like that's gonna last you like your life unless you have a giant garden. You can find them giant, in big portions for pretty cheap. And there are a couple that like, especially if you want a certain name brand, but in general, like when you go down to the bones, like literally, gets very cheap. But yeah, then in the same 5-gallon bucket, I like to add a peat moss based like media, like what if you're using whatever you're using. Cocoa can work in there all right, but I just like it to be really dry. You don't want moisture getting in this mixture. And I just do this to kind of like soften things up a little bit, just kind of air things up. It catches a lot of the dust when you shake this. I shake it a lot to mix it before I use it. It'll get very dusty. Like give it 30 seconds or a minute, and that will I found it's kind of knocked that down a little bit. It just holds on to some of that. But yeah, you want to let that dust settle because it is not super fun. I mean, it's like a cloud of this dust will come out, and I have a twist cap, like this little. I think they call them like gamma lids or something. And it just, and so you want to give it a second after you shake it, but you definitely want to shake the shit out of it. Because you're going to have this for a while. It's a lot of fertilizer when you're talking about growing in like a 3-gallon pot. You're talking about like like we'll get into it, like using shot glasses worth of this, and it's a whole 5-gallon bucket worth of it, you
Jeez.
know. So that lasts a long time. This is
Sweet.
the what we used on this recipe is what we used on the hemp farm, and like it was a couple $100. Now we initially spent more than that, but we used so little every year. It was only like a quarter acre, but it's all raised beds and all, and it was like a couple $100 for all 3 years that we
Wow.
had that
That's
line.
that's great.
It goes very cheap. It's very cheap, and it goes. You just have to break it down, you know. But um, we'll go through some of that for sure.
Sweet.
But
Thanks,
you can
Earl.
use it. Yeah, you can use it for all kinds. You can use it outside too. The same mixture. Use it for your gardens outside. Use it for your flowers. You can spread it around your yard. Um, I would recommend maybe not spreading it around your yard because my yard like took off. Not that year. Like I spread, you know, you spread seed, you aerate. Okay, things are looking pretty happy, and then the few years to come, like it was like it goes nuts. I mow much more than I used to have to, but my lawn's really happy too, and
I
I keep my
bet.
grass longer. If you're cutting your grass, like I was having such a hard time, and I found out that I was just cutting my grass too short. When I started keeping my grass a little longer, like off the rip, it got so much healthier, it's so much
Huh.
nicer, it's, like, nice to actually walk in now. It retains so much more moisture, and I don't have to like, at first, I was like, "Well, if I'm cutting it longer, I'm gonna have to cut more often."
Right.
But I don't find it being the case so much because as it grows, it still looks pretty good. It's a little longer, but since it's still symmetric and, like, everything's still the same height, it still looks pretty
Right.
good. But be
Nice.
careful. When you take too good care of your yard, it grows too fast and it comes in your way. But yeah,
So
everything we just talked about is the organic mix, you know?
nice.
That's
Nice.
the mix.
So you got the dust going, got the dust bowl going. The dust bowl is what created everything. So I mean, Big Earl's mixture is called the Dust Bowl. So, and it creates
Appropriately named.
fantastic. So the mix is now made, right? So now
Yeah.
what the fuck? Now what the fuck do I do?
So this is like your base mix. You just mixed your base mix, your 5 gallons is gonna last your garden 12 years. Um, so now you have to spread that over a soil. And since the plants grow so fast, this soil you have to be able to kind of like inoculate or at least feed some of the different funguses and bacterias so that it can start to break down some of this food. Um, so this medium, whatever you use, I typically use cocoa, but we'll talk about a couple of the other ones.
Mhm.
I use a tote. I technically have two totes, the 27-gallon, those like black and yellow ones that are like Home Depot and Lowe's and all that. One tote I will have my organic stuff in, and one tote I don't like pouring straight out of the bag. I like kind of pouring it out and like breaking it up because sometimes you can get like molds or just some shit in your bags. And so I just want to look at it a little bit, let it sit in a tote, see it. Uh, so one will be my organic, one will not be my organic. Um, in my organic one, I can get about 3 cubic feet of the media in there. Um, that's going to be about 21 gallons worth. So I don't usually fill a whole pot. So 21 gallons worth is going to, if you use 3-gallon pots and only 2 of those gallons are going to be the organic mix, that's going to get you at least 10 plants. Um,
That's
now,
pretty good.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's in one tote, that's in one tote. In one tote, I'll add 12 shot glasses. I know I should weigh it and I should say add this many grams. It's a shot glass. Get a shot glass, get a measuring cup.
A 1 ounce shot glass, 2 ounce shot
Uh,
glass, or a 3 ounce. What's they
yeah,
got at least give us the shot glass
the
size
30
then.
milliliter one. The 30
That's
milliliter one, but topped off. So you're probably talking like 35 milliliters total.
So is that 1 ounce shot glass then? Because I bartended for 23 years. So if that's a 1 ounce shot, I'm good to go.
That's the
I
normal
know
shot
that.
count. That's the 4 count. I don't
So
know.
that'd
That's the
be
4 count.
so that'd be an ounce and a half for all
12
you
shot
out there.
glasses,
All you bartenders out there, ounce and a
360
half.
milliliters. If you're using the same measuring cup, 360 milliliters. So I throw this into that soil. Along with that, I like to throw, because this stuff I don't want to put into the actual organic mix, just because it'd have to be such a large amount. But so biochar is going to be nice for a lot of things. Um, but you're doing with the organics, it adds carbon. It's going to be your fucking microorganisms that you're going to need to break this stuff down is going to
Hmm.
need something like that, or at least love something like that. Maybe not need it. You can probably do it without it, but it's beneficial. It also aerates a little bit. I like to add a myco in there, or any bacteria or fungus that you like to use. So like if you're using this primarily for flowering, which is like a lot of what I use it for, um, adding like more flowering bacteria or funguses to this thing, as opposed to just mycorrhizae. But I added tea also that has a lot of that stuff in it. So
Huh.
I don't put that in the original mix. But if you don't add a tea at this point, like adding something like the orca, I think is one of them, which is like a multi breakdown of different or like small organisms, not small organisms, I don't think it would be, but like bacteria and funguses that you can then culture in this to get to break down some of this food that you just put in there.
Huh.
So the myco, 5 tablespoons, which would be like 75 milliliters if we're going in that. 5 tablespoons, spread that throughout it.
Everybody know what a tablespoon is in his fucking joint.
15 milliliters, tablespoon, baby. Um, insect frass. I like insect frass a lot.
All right, wait,
Um,
hold on. What the fuck is insect frass? I was looking at that on
it
the
is
sheet. I was like, what the fuck is insect frass?
it is a basically insect shells. And I hope I remember this right. Basically insect shells, and they basically
Hmm.
trick plants into thinking they're under attack from bugs.
What?
Yes. And so it does have some other things too, but specifically when you're going into flower, especially the insect frass kind of like naturally boosts your plant immune system because it's saying I'm getting attacked by bugs because these shells are degrading and it's letting off. Man, dude, I want to say chitin, but I don't know that that's right. Um, but it's letting off something that's telling the plant there's a bug population there. Um,
Oh, so it might be
yeah,
letting off like a hormone or not a hormone, what is it called? Like a phenome or not that either. It's like a pheromone. That's what it's called. Could
it's
be letting
something.
that because bugs have certain kind of pheromones that attract other bugs. So maybe it's taking that shell of. I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just being a
it's
newbie
something
here.
like that. No, for
Right.
sure. It's something. It's
Pheromones.
something.
Just.
Yes, it's smelling something.
Mm-hmm.
It smells what you're cooking. DE, our favorite
Our
diatomaceous
favorite.
earth, our fucking favorite.
Yes. The
Um,
best.
250 on the insect fresh. DE 5 tablespoons. DE, one of the coolest things about that also needs some time. Probably more time than we're even giving it with this recipe and even with the plants. But it makes me feel good that it's mostly silica. So hopefully at least some of it is breaking down into silica.
Huh.
Um, I do feel like when I use it as a foliar on plants, I do get more brittle plants. I can't say necessarily every plant seems to stand up like stronger, which is what a lot of silicas do. Um, so it's hard to say what is being absorbed there and not absorbed there. But diatomaceous earth, 5 tablespoons on sprinkle that on top. And then like a water sugar mixture, or if you run a tea, and then 4,000 milliliters that's actually in an appropriate measuring for the water. 4,000 milliliters of a tea or a water sugar mixture, molasses and RO water, or however whatever your water you use for your plant. That's going to give the bacteria you put in there, or the funguses you put in there, food to be able to keep going. And close that shit up. Mix it up real good. You're just gonna have all the humidity in there. You're gonna have all your sugars. You're gonna have all your bacteria and funguses or whatever you add, and then it just needs time to kind of brew. And yeah, I like to also when I'll mix it all up, and then I'll put some sulfur. So sulfur, I'm not so sure. Sulfur has been claimed to hurt like bacteria and funguses. Now I don't know, at what point it's going to be bad or how or when it starts hurting any of that. But I rely on a lot of that in this situation. And so, but I will sprinkle it like around the edges on the top, just because like bugs like sugar water too.
Hell yeah, man!
You know?
You might get an ant problem.
Yeah. So it's like that so far for me at least, the sulfur ring around the top, I've never had anything in there. But when I open it up, it's like white and there's clumps. Like you can literally like break apart certain little colonies. One of the first times I made a tote, I just put the water in, like I mixed all up and I put that sugar water in a swirl and I didn't even really think about it. I didn't mix it up afterward. Um, and I came back to it and you literally saw the white fuzz, the mycorrhizae
Huh.
in the swirl in the tote.
It
And
looks
so
like
it's
that.
like it's growing on that shit. So yeah, you mix that in. When you bust that open, you're gonna find like clumps and really just like one big unit of just deliciousness is what like smells sweet and like a lot. Like it's
You
just
got a
nice,
lot of things. You got a lot of things going on in that world, right?
dude. Yeah,
It's a whole colonization of shit that started from your mixture, and now you got
yeah,
fucking little fucking aliens walking around. They develop fucking big fucking skyscrapers and shit. You got like the whole colonization happening in that
it's
shit, everybody,
happening, bro.
and
It's almost
that
a shame to break up.
skyscrapers downtown Chicago. Different types of skyscrapers they're fucking building and growing. You got a
They're
whole
going nuts.
different world. Yeah, that's right. Just
Yeah,
fucking
yeah. Oh yeah.
you can see some shit.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool to see. And then and when I open that, I break that up and it's sad, but it's happy and you know, it's another
Sweet.
time coming. Another time
Yeah.
coming. But yeah, you need all this. You need all that time because those things are breaking this food down. This food can't. The reason you can't just add these foods to the top of your pot is because they will not be able to be absorbed by your roots of your plant. They're
Hmm.
like physically, literally too large, and the breakdown process takes a while. And so, like I've
So
explained
why
it to people.
so why does it need so much time to before use though? Like you were saying, it's got to break down more, and it's got to like really get to the point of where the roots can suck it up. And
Yeah,
like, so how long does that kind of? I know you said it, but how long does that kind of take to where you can properly use it right? And like, and
it
why does it take so much time?
so it really depends on your this first off the size that it's going in. So this is just larger in size. You can think of I've explained it before. You have your house, right? And let's say cows were the size of blue whales. And so you have this blue whale that's a nutrient for your house. You need to eat. You're eating. You're an Eskimo. You're living in your igloo. You got to bring in this fucking whale that's too big. So you got to cut it up, right? Well, you need people to cut it up. That's your funguses, that's your different bacteria. They're the things that's chipping away at this.
Okay.
So the happier that they are, the more they chip away, they eat, they shit it out. Now it's small enough. The root actual cells of the roots are only so big. And so if these can't fit through those cell walls or your door to your house or your igloo, then it gets chopped up. So if you've only got one person and you're trying to break down this blue whale and get it into your house to eat, well, it's going to take you a long ass time. But if there's 20,000 of you, there's a huge colony of you. If everybody's chipping away, then it's going to be much faster. And that's what you see with outdoors. That's why it happens organics outdoors. That like the rain brings a huge, but just microbiology boost to everything. And so every time it's getting rained on, it's getting this tea almost. Like it doesn't have the food as much as a lot of our teas that we use, but it's getting this reinoculation, and more troops can now break down the leaf, your dog's shit, like the dead grass that fell yesterday. You just mowed and the grass is laying down. Well, that can be broken down now, and there's a fertilizer just get added to the top of your grass that's still alive. But if it's a dead lawn, it's our
Hmm.
big problem we've been having with farms. Everybody use all these salts. They said, you don't need this biology, you dummies. You don't need the biology. You know how hard all this stuff is? Here's what you do. Add all these salts, add all these, okay, you're all these salts, these things are growing great now. See? Well, salts are already small enough to fit into your door.
Right.
Salts are coming packaged, UPS dropping that shit off at your door. Or you can force feed salts. The organic, you have to really
gotta work
culture.
it.
You have
Gotta
to
work it.
culture to the population to break down that food. So the food does have to be there, but then also the population has to be there, and that population has to be able to keep up or at least help a little bit. In this case, your plant, because indoor we're talking Synthganics, and we are feeding salts. We are getting, these meals just shipped right to our front door, but we're also butchering our whale to bring in these organics, because of flavor. Really, for me, flavor and effect. It affects,
Huh.
straight salt grown weed. I've had fantastic weed grown across everything. There's perfect, great ways to do everything. There's not one way to do anything. How I've grown, when I started
Makes
adding
sense.
organic, my flavor and my effects were drastically affected.
Hmm.
The flavor boosted huge. The effects, well, like the plant was able to like express itself. I didn't have there was like a certain taste when I ran straight salts, and it could change with your salts, but you knew your garden's taste. When I started these organics, it stopped. That stopped because the plants are now expressing themselves better.
Hmm.
They're not getting, McDonald's shipped to the front door every second they ever wanted anything. They're also, yeah, they have that. So anytime they're hungry, they can eat. But they also have this, fresh butchered organic particle being broken down by the homies outside. Um, and yeah,
That-
and so that's why I think I personally like, you're not using, and sometimes you can get literally a lot of this effect in just an additive bottle. There's people out there, there's
huh.
different things out there that are a lot of this added, that where it's like a very broken down organic. But they're usually kind of expensive. How organic would be the biggest question. How much? I don't know. I like having
Hmm.
it broken down. I know exactly, like, this is a cottonseed meal. This is cottonseed ground up,
Hmm.
you know?
I like the way you
So
explain that, Big Earl. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And I'm not, this is just from listening and trying stuff. So there's probably things and connections out there that we're not even getting. But it's,
Right.
it's like it's working. It's worked for me very well. It's cheaper than salts, and you, like I said, the flavor and effect is just mwah. Synthganic, baby.
Hey, oh, hey. So what? So you went through a lot in the first 32 minutes. What actually is this stuff? What is
Okay,
it?
yeah,
The
because
fuck
this
you been
isn't.
talking about here?
There's 40 million organic recipes. And so basically this is just a way to fill your NPKs and your minerals and your primaries and secondaries. It's a way to get everything your plant needs to live and thrive. So we'll go, so seed meal, right? Usually from cotton seeds. Um, that's what it usually is. There's anything that's a seed that's ground up, could be, that's what a meal is. Bone meal, ground up bones. Seed meal, ground up seeds. Um, it usually has a pretty nice NPK, like a pretty heavy NPK. It's got all of it. It's very rich in micronutrients. That's why there was so much of it. There was 7,000 milliliters, I think, total to that big additive. It's like the main component. And it also can help with the pH a little bit, lowers it a little bit. Um, but that's what seed meal. That's the main part of this. So if you have something else, let's say you're sitting on whatever, the you can compare. You go to a seed meal, you say, this is what a lot of seed meals are. The NPK is XYZ. I want to compare this, and you can switch things in and out. If you're catching and you're saying, okay, I know exactly what this is, do a little research. Well, I can use this and get I can use this and azomite and get my micronutrients that I would be getting from seed meal, and my NPK that you can switch things out. That's some of the fun in it too. Like, what's around, what's expensive, what's cheap. Oh, you go to the grow shop and they have their things of odds and ends that are for sale because they've had them for like 5 years. Usually those are random different shit. So knowing exactly what this is and being able to say, well, I have this. I'm taking this from the grow shop because it's $12 instead of 120, and I'm going to substitute it in here. And I just got to change this and that around. It's a lot of fun. So I've had fun with it. But yeah, the seed meal, biggest component. It's got everything. Kelp, also a lot of micronutrients. Um, a natural hormone that boosts plants growth. Um, there are there's been talks about, like, just different, like how good or bad that can be. So maybe watch from like where it's from, or but the straight up like just powdered kelp uh, is really nice. I know there's like liquid kelps and stuff, so I would just just pay attention to what else could be in there. Um, but increases stress resistance, um, helps with root development. I mean, it's a nice little guy in there. Your bone meal, phosphorus, calcium. That's the bones ground up. Um, Flowering, almost any flowering plant. You have tomatoes, they're gonna love a bone meal. Um, I think blood or no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say I think blood meal has a lot of the same things, but I don't I can't say that even for even close.
I don't even want to use it
Yeah,
because of blood meal. I like bone meal
blood meal.
better.
Yeah, bone meal.
Blood
Yeah,
meal.
and
Oof.
sometimes bone meal too, like oyster shell. I think is very similar. That's at least a calcium for sure. The phosphorus boost, I'm not 100% sure of, but anyway, so gypsum, right? Conditions all the soil. It binds different clays together. I'm not sure you're gonna have that in your potting mix, but if you're using it outside specifically, gypsum is badass. Also, but it helps with drainage. Helps in general just provide. Um, it's like a soil conditioner almost, Also, calcium and sulfur it adds a little bit. So both things the plant's gonna love. A faux guano, the faux soup guano. Um, One thing that when I was looking into that I thought was interesting was that faux guano, faux shit, phosphorus heavy shit comes from fruit eating bats.
Yep.
Where nitrogen heavy shit um, comes from insect eating bats.
Huh.
So there are a bunch of different foes out there. There's some companies will have 5 or 6 different different, food or guanos, sorry. Not foes, guanos. Phosphorus heavy. Usually the N and K are zeros. So it'll be like a 0, 15, 0 or something. But yeah, phosphorus heavy guano. Um, the two different limes. Um, so they're both in there. They both do similar things, which is stabilize the soil and help with the acidities and just neutralize homes for all your biology and plant absorptions, or nutrient absorptions. Um, so the agriculture lime is a calcium carbonate. Um, that's just calcium, right? But the dolomite lime is your CalMag. That's the natural CalMag. Don't forget your dolomite lime, people. Um, and so that's going to add a little bit more. And so I think one of the big things there is going to be that plants typically want a much larger number or amount of calcium than they would magnesium. And so that's probably why that's broken up on a lot of that. But they both neutralize acidities and help balance your pH. Sometimes, like a lawn, all it needs, sometimes you're like, man, my lawn's just not doing well. All it needs is some ag lime to help balance out your
Huh.
pH, the acidity of your soil, and things like take off. So that can play a huge role. We all know that. We all know that like the pH is a huge way. Like it's everything with nutrient uptake.
Right.
So, um, but that's what I would say there. Ton of calcium. Not as
Sweet.
much magnesium.
Sweet. So we know the mixture and the ratios, right? You got everything all dialed in. You're good to go. Now, how the fuck do I use this shit, Earl?
Yeah. So okay, what's it? Step number 3 now. So you mixed your 5-gallon bucket of your newts, powdered newt. You shook them. You gave them a second. You added that to your media, whether that's cocoa or peat moss or whatever you're using. That's waited now a month or two, and it's fluffy and looking delicious. So how do you use it, right? So you could just use, if you want to go organic all the time, you could just use that organic soil. The big thing with Synthganics is, or when you're talking about organics, you don't worry so much about washing out your food because you want that food to be there because you're breaking down that food purposely and you don't want to wash it out. When you're talking about synthetics, the salts, you have to worry about the buildup. And if you're feeding organics every time, you do have to worry about it. But typically, when people grow straight organic, they're gonna have like a bed they're growing. They're gonna be doing what you're doing in this tote in a bed, um, like that the plant's physically growing out of. Um, so I don't use it early. Usually, I try to grow my clones as sterilely as possible.
Hmm.
My young plants, I'll use in my straight cocoa perlite or like the straight media of whatever you're using. But then when I go into my transplant, so I go from my clone to my solo to my usually 1 to 3 gallon transplant. We'll talk 3 gallons here. When I go into my transplant, um, then I will bring in more of my organics.
Hmm.
So I'll use like the bottom inch or two straight media. Then I run the rest of it my organic soil on that transplant. So most of the soil is the organic, but I'm trying to save this shit for flower. Like in veg, I love that my plants can be as organic as possible, but I want this for my flavor. I want this for that little bit of something different. And the thing that matters here is the flower. So that's what I'm trying to save it for. Usually, I'm only running about another week in my veg room before, if even that long, before they're going into flower. And at that point, I am trying. Like, I'm much more worried about my runoff. Um, I typically run probably like a 15 to 20%. When I run it with that, I can drop that a little bit, and I can run my runoff a little less and rely on that buildup a little bit more.
Okay.
So and that's with the cocoa. So with the cocoa, because like cocoa, the best part about cocoa is how aggressively you can water.
Right.
So if you're watering usually salts and you're watering to a 15% runoff, every time you run that off, these organics that you just worked for, you're flushing some of it out. And if you're running like teas and you're reinoculating this and that, um, it might be okay how you do that. Everybody can go so much differently. So experiment with it, do what you want to do. But I lower my food, lower my runoff, rely more on my slight buildup, and rely on the organics that are there. Because we also have food now in our soil. Um, with the cocos, I definitely find teas are helpful. Because you are flushing so much more out. Where if like a different media, right? What did you didn't use cocoa a lot, right? What did you like to use?
I used a 70-30. So I did use 30% cocoa and the rest was soil, a soil mixture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
Like
organic
a
soil.
peat moss probably based.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. So with
Yep.
something like that, you don't have as much runoff. You don't water 3 times or 4 times a day. So you don't need to worry. Like you can treat this in a situation like that, pretty similar to your regular waterings. I would probably lower the food a little bit when you're feeding, but if you're because you did you feed if you're feeding, you usually don't feed every time.
No, I don't.
Sometimes it's
I
just
didn't.
straight water.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
I was like, it was probably like 1 on 2 days off, 1 on 2 days off, of giving it, nutrients and stuff like that. Cause
yeah,
I used heavy soil. So that soil stayed. And I know I was always afraid of buildups. So I would do 2 days of water,
yeah, yeah,
and
perfect.
I mean, I'm not talking about my outdoor. I'm talking about when I had my indoor grow. The
Yeah,
outdoor grow was totally different. So I let the soil do the work. I used squid poop and
yeah,
I made like a little tea with some like molasses and some water and just that's all I used.
yeah.
That's all I used.
Reinoculating the troops.
I didn't do much, and I got a 7-foot plant, and I got beautiful buds from the top to the middle, and the rest is gonna be pushed to edibles. And I got like 3 ounces
Yeah,
of really, really good smokable fucking everything was smokable, but I'm talking about like really nice buds.
yeah, yeah.
So I
Oh yeah,
mean, I didn't do much with that one, but the indoor, it was always a lot of work. I mean, you're just because I didn't use cocoa, which is a little bit more forgiving, right? Compared to using like heavy soil and only using a little
yeah.
bit of cocoa. So
It makes it
it's not,
way easier to fix your problems. If you have
yeah.
if you have an acidity problem, a nutrient problem, anything, cocoa is much easier to fix. It's harder to cocoa is harder to damage your plant from overwatering.
Yeah, so I was that's one thing I was always worried about. Always checking like how wet that soil was, and just like I was always nervous too. So I just I would baby those plants way too much. And I probably, but like I said, I liked what I did and I was always happy with my grows, and what I got to smoke was always phenomenal. And,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, I had a couple mistakes here and there, but nothing to where the the plant died on me or you couldn't I mean, I always got good smokable weed,
Yeah.
and I only had one bug problem and I had to fucking fungus gnats, you know, and once out of my how many grows in 5 years. So that's makes me very happy that I never had a bug problem.
Yeah, dude. Bugs suck. But
Yeah.
that
So
DE, I mean, and there's a lot of stuff, but that DE is so cheap, so effective, and it's wild. It's wild how it's how you can use that
yeah.
shit. So what we're doing here basically, usually it's salt versus organic, right? That's what a lot of
Yeah.
people argue at least. Um
I met
we're
some
kind of doing
cat. I went to a growers competition on Sunday, and I met some cat that was talking about Synthganic a lot, and a lot of the growers there, not a lot, but a couple of them that won. One of them that came in second place. He's a big Synthganic guy too, and he talks about it a lot. And I mean, his weed is fucking phenomenal, like yours.
there's some I'm telling you, man, it's the way. So it's the best of both worlds. Like when you're
There it
talking about
is.
like growing, um, first off, beyond like all the immediate like what everybody knows about organic, it helps when you can really dial this shit in. You have when you're talking about different diseases your plant can get, fungal based, bacterial based. When you can have your media full of that already, when you can have that, use that with your plant, it leaves doesn't leave an area for these other bad ones to be. So running something like this can literally be a pest prevention where you're always having a lot of the pest prevention I run is fungally based. That's a big reason I tried to make this in the first place because then you can go to a lot of this. It's fungally based. Yeah, you have to reinoculate, but when you have a predatory fungus that's always in your soil and you're using a soil from the bat that's like made to foster these things, it just things are just really nice. And the plant health in general really liked it. Like even though you're force feeding it the other way and you're giving it everything it needs with salts, the plant for sure like expresses itself instead of just expressing what it's being forced to eat. And a really nice thing with all of it is it's like it's universal for everything. You can use it on your lawn. You can use it on your house plants. You can use something like this. You're talking about like a long lasting organic fertilizer. So
That's
these
right.
shot glasses that you're putting into your soil, you can go sprinkle that in the fall on you have a garden bed. Okay, well, fucking put a big ass scoop of that in the fall, scrape it in. That shit is going to last out there a while. And so it'll get better and better. It gets the first year you use it, you're gonna be like, oh, that was pretty good. But then like the second and third year, when it's really breaking down outside, you're gonna be like, holy shit. But there are some negatives though. Making the mix, like you when you use these certain things on like 7,000 milliliters of this, you buy it in much larger amounts and you use such a small amount usually that like I have literally like a whole area of just like nutrients that you'd see on like a farm of these bags of dust and meals and all that shit. And when you go with salts, there's something to know. There's something to knowing exactly 100% what you're putting in, what you're getting out. When you talk about the organics, you don't know how much of that whale's butchered. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know how what your population is down there. You might be thinking you're brewing this tea and you're doing everything, but the tea from the get go was dead because the powder that was used sat on a truck that baked, and so from the get go you're using a dead tea. It all looks good, it all looks all right, and you're adding that, and you know what I mean. Like you don't know what you can't. You can. There are people out there that can inspect your soil and say, oh, it's super active or this isn't that active, but you're not going to do that for every pot inside. You're not going to do it. That's like you're talking about like a farm thing, like where people are making a lot of money off that soil.
Right. Right.
So yeah, not knowing exactly, is definitely negative.
Okay.
So here's how I like to do it. Like I had just talked about all that. Solo, regular fucking clone goes into the solo, no organics. Um, I do that until I go into the flower, and then I use my organics going into the flower. I start watching my EC, all my runoff. Um, I do think that you lower your EC on the food that you're on the water that you're putting in there, right? Um, because you got the organic food. Um, you, all we've talked about all of that. One thing that's nice is to not fill your pots all the way up. I'll run. I have
Yeah,
1 gallon
that was
pot.
that was classic when you taught me that. That was classic when you taught me that, especially because when you need to add more to get more of that into
Yeah,
that soil, if that because those plants suck that shit dry, especially if they're really really healthy and they're really feeding and they're really eating. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
you gotta have that boost.
When I was trying to run just straight organics, man, with the second round, because I was so frustrated with the first time I did it, and when you taught me that, that helped out huge.
Yeah, it's big. Even even just like 10-15%. Somewhere you can take this organic mixture again when it's hitting like week 3 or 4 or something, and boost that up right when you need it for flour. You just save like we're Dragon Ball Z fans. You gotta save that knockout punch for the end. This shit needs to last a few episodes, and then you come out with that knockout Kamehameha, and sell is no more kind of shit.
I love the fucking analogy there, my brother. Fucking amazing throwing the Dragon Ball Z in
Yeah.
there.
And teas, we talked about that a little bit, but fostering this for the teas um, is fantastic. Like, it actually gives a home. A lot of what the charcoals and the different stuff is giving a home to these things that you're relying on, so they don't get flushed out as much. But bringing in those teas, reinforcing the troops, bringing more butcher to the whale fucking feast. Um, that's that can help a lot. I add a tea on my stuff almost weekly, at least weekly. Just that can help a lot, and you can add a little bit of food that way too. Sometimes they have some foods that are ready to be broken down and eaten within 24 hours, or at least added. So some different teas, they have all kinds of ones, but usually they're 18 to 24-hour brew or some shit like that.
Sweet.
And we talk about sulfur a lot. um be careful with that. Sulfur, I think I said earlier, I don't know enough about sulfur to say how much is going to kill this or that. But I'm told, my understanding is that it does not get along well with the biologies. So if you do rely on a sulfur top dress a few times throughout flower, or anytime, just be cautious of that. Don't, if you're going to add a tea, add the sulfur and then wait a few days, whatever you got to do, then add the tea kind of shit. Don't add a tea, then a sulfur right on top of it, or add the sulfur, then the tea right on top of it. Um, do what you want to do, but that might not be you know, as much of what you're looking for as
Right.
keeping them separated a little bit.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite too is like doing it this way. Um, a lot of times when you're running organics, especially if you have a nutrient problem, you have to wait. Like there are organic additives, but it's not so immediate. Especially when you're running cocoa, running Synthganic, you can run into some kind of problem. You can always rely on that flush and that salt run. Like it's not, especially if you're running cocoa or you're running this and you're getting to week, especially later in flower, week 8 or 9, you're like, man, whatever. Like you can always rely on that flush and salt. But
Right.
just like always. But yeah,
So Big Earl, brother. This whole lineup that you just taught us and explained to us, what kind of like is like they're gonna get what kind of flavor and yield and terpiness they're gonna get from this?
I think, I mean, with my experience, everything goes up. The
Nice.
organics, yes, is something, but yields go up too. It's every we talked about like being able to select your food. So every plant you have nitrogen, right? And there's a lot of different ways to have nitrogen in your plant. But every different way that you can get a different nitrogen given to the plant is a bonus to me.
Hmm.
And I always thought about it like a buffet. If me and you go to a buffet and this like a Vegas fucking buffet, they got it all. The crab legs, the steaks, they're all fillets, they're all perfect. Me and you might go after some different shit. You might go after the steak, and I might go after the chicken. We're both getting our protein, but it's different ways. And so, if you can
Right.
offer up a buffet to your plant, and your plant prefers it this way compared to that way, it still will eat some chicken, but maybe it prefers that steak nitrogen, that steak protein. And so that's how I've always looked at it. And adding this, there's all different sources of those nutrients. A
Cool.
lot of those bottles are exactly the same. Like when you look at the back, it's like, okay, these NBKs are almost exactly the same. Oh, they use exactly the same things. It's all the same shit. This is a different way to get multiple sources of not just two or three, five or six sources of nitrogen, five or six, like many, many sources of everything. So to me, yield went up, herps definitely went up, expression went up. You can't smoke weed anymore and be like, oh yeah, this was my weed when I was growing with General Hydro, or this is, and I like, or Athena. And like it's just everything increased for me.
Love it. I appreciate the knowledge, brother, as always. It's been
Yeah.
yeah, I love it, man. This is great because now I have the recipe that was on a little cardboard sheet with some glue on it
Yeah. Let me know. I'll send
from
it over. I injected my walls down there, so I was like trying to before it hardened.
Check
Just
out Big Earl's Discord. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to find that recipe
probably
on
have
the
it on there.
Discord. Yeah, what's the Discord? Where can they find you on
Uh,
Discord?
I am the Regal Beagle. I think it still is. I have to look
Nice.
on here. Yeah, I am the Regal Beagle. It's all over Instagram too. I am the Regal Beagle.
I don't have Instagram
Yeah.
anymore, but you can reach out to Big Earl on Instagram too. I am the
Yeah.
Regal Beagle. Got some great pics and great information. You can DM him on there for the recipe too.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, I appreciate the knowledge, brother, man. I really do. It's been a hot minute, and I
yeah.
look forward
Check.
to the next episode soon. One last tidbit. Any thought before we go?
Well, you didn't want to do the CalMag line,
No.
so maybe we just have to just change it to the Dolomite Lime, since it's the natural CalMag of the world. And so don't forget your Dolomite Lime, everyone. Make sure you break that shit down, get it ready for your plant to absorb.
Oh,
You're gonna
dude,
love it.
you got the, and I love the name Dolomite too, because every time we say it, I'm gonna laugh from the 1970s. So everybody out there, don't forget your Dolomite. Peace.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a ninth decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.